All right, there's a background debate going on here already as to which food is sweeter, the one cooked with firewood or cooked
with gas. It's really interesting, I must say.
All right, the point is, really, this is really cheery news for Nigerians, especially the women folk like myself. The federal government, in conjunction with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and the Federal Inland Revenue Service, has removed value-added tax.
Yeah, on locally produced liquefied natural gas, as popularly called cooking gas. Now, with this development, the price of cooking gas is expected to crash by about 20% from 4,300 of that's for a 12.5 kg cylinder, currently sells for to about 3,400, allowing more Nigerian households to move away from the use of wood and stove to cooking gas. But while the implementation of the VAT removal is yet to take off, there are reports the price of the commodity has risen in some quarters.
Really? That's defying all the laws of economics right there. Are gas vendors trying to make as much profit as they can before the price of cooking gas comes crashing down? Okay, you always find that when, you know, government comes up with such directives or policies, people just want to cash in as quickly as they can. Well, Kehinde-Nwandu is still very much with us right here. You're a man.
Yes.
How happy are you? Because it's from your pocket you have to pay for.
I'm very happy, sincerely, because
gas.
One of
in fact, we should be happier than they who use the gas.
No, we should be
because the money
because
comes from the pocket.
We should be happier because it comes from the pocket. And you can just see, you are just coming home, and the next thing just, gas has finished, too. Gas has finished, too. You know, and the next thing is either you start running out to go and look for where to get gas. But for those that have alternative means of using stove and the rest of them, you need your dinner at that point in time, that we were going to have a delayed dinner. And yes, but most often than not, the prices of gas at a point it got up to 5,000 naira, I can tell you, because I used to
really
buy
prohibitive.
Yes, it was so high. You know, it was so high that I was so worried. I was wondering what was happening.
The last time I bought gas, about 2-3 weeks ago, it was 4,200.
Yes, it's it's within that range now, 4,002, 4,003.
Yeah.
Some stations, 4,000 if you go to the major sellers, because you have the major filling stations that sell, then you also have vendors.
Yeah.
So then even the problem with, especially with the vendors, is that you come to realize that at the time you just buy it because you don't know how the weight. You don't know the weight. What you just go drop your this thing, pick it up, and you realize that something that's supposed to last you for a month or two, it just lasts for about 3 months.
Actually, the vendors usually refill.
They refill, so those are the ones that get refilled.
Yeah. But one wonders why the prices differ. If you go here, the price is this. If you go the other place, the price is that. You know, different between 200, 300,
yes.
sometimes 500.
Yes, you know, it has to be, from the investigation, it has been realized that most of what we get are imported, especially from Equatorial Guinea. That is what we are getting to here, you know, and then we have the local ones by LNG, you know, and so I believe that is where the differences comes. Then also in terms of the cylinders too, some cylinders, you know, at times we are not careful. People just use those products without necessarily looking at some of the implications. You come to look at some of the the cylinders. People are not even careful. Do you know that that cylinder expires? People don't know. Really? Yes, it does.
I was shocked. Know that.
Yes, I was shocked to learn that in the course of this research, that even cylinders expire. It's just like a tire. Most people don't know that the tire on your vehicles gets expired.
Very true.
It's
That's a very good point.
Yes. So people, we don't know. So that is where sun comes into. That is why most often than not you see sun going out on raised and the rest of them.
That's the standard
organizations of Nigeria. They go out on raised that they are substandard cylinders. Those are the type that easily explodes. You just put it in your house, and before you know it, pam. One of my friend, a fellow journalist, a female, just some few months back, got home and went to her kitchen just to just put on her dressing, just to light up, and she just went on flame.
Oh my!
About 40% burnt.
Oh my!
You know, those are the type of this thing. So. While we are also talking about the prices, we should also try to inform people that there's the need for them to be able. Probably we should not be insisting that those expiring dates should be inscribed on
the body of the cylinder.
Yes.
All right. Now, I wonder why the government is deciding to take off the VAT on gas at this time?
Yes, it's because it's for penetration. It's very, very key. Penetration is key. You have to also realize the problem
Especially
of global
in rural
warming.
areas.
You have to look at the problem of global warming. Just like it goes, and when we were debating, you know, off camera, and we're debating, oh, which one should pass? The one where they use gas. I mean, in the village, it's only in town that we worried ourselves with all these things. In my village, in Imo State, nobody uses those gas. I'm telling you, it's a fact.
Yeah.
It is
Which
to go
means
into the bush.
government has a lot of work to do
Information
in terms of
and
public enlightenment, and let people know why it is it's very useful for you to move from you know, the normal
conventional
firewood
and rest of them.
they've been used to forever to gas. And of course, you know, talking about the pressure that's come for the federal government to actually respond to this, the Association of you know, liquefied petroleum gas
they came out sometime.
They've been putting pressure on government to actually, you know, crash this, but only 20% reduction. I'm wondering. Don't forget that you mentioned Equatorial Guinea earlier. What we actually get from there is much cheaper than what is produced in Nigeria.
Produced within the country.
That's what I'm saying. And come to think of it, if you know the number of gas that we flare every day, we can service the whole of Africa. It's a fact. Yeah. You need to go to River State and some of this.
Bayelsa State.
In fact, as you are just driving
like
to
daylight,
just look up by daylight. You see,
you know where
it's coming from.
Where the
Those
flaring
are
is coming.
things that we can easily harness and we can use and be able to. Those are the areas the federal government. But coming back to prices, I think it's better. It's better to have such cuts than just leaving it as it is, because if you say at 4,300 naira. What is the minimum wage of an average? That we'll be talking about
18,000.
That's 18,000. So if somebody removed 4,003 from 18,000, you are left with barely about 14,000. You are going to feed, you are going to clothe, you are going to spend the rest of them.
House rent to pay.
House rent and the rest of them. So we still need to come. In advanced countries, this is given. It's just like electricity. In fact, as you're moving into it, as you're moving into a house, it has already been laid. You don't see people carrying. I don't see people carrying gas cylinders. Yes, because you don't even see that, because they've already run the pipe across, just like water and other utilities. All they just use are just public. It's public utility that we should look at. So then we're also having the problem of kerosene. Yeah. You know, apart from the firewood, the kerosene, most people, I think it's even more. Most people use stove across the country, even more than every other thing. Then the price of kerosene is rising, you know, because of availability. Kerosene is even more expensive than petrol. As it is. Because of certain factors. One, it was also realized that even aircraft uses kerosene at times. As part of their fuel.
A certain kind of
kerosene, just as part of the jet fuel. So that makes the availability very, very, yes. So that makes it up. So now that I've looked at the gas, they should also look at issue of kerosene.
Yeah, but with this new, certainly, Nigerians are going to welcome the idea of government of removing VAT from gas. But is this really going to translate to the penetration you talked about? Because the issue, Nigerians, apart from Lagos and Abuja, for instance, an average Nigerian is very cultural, very, very remotely connected to its roots, where, like you were talking about your village and all of that. Are Nigerians ready to say, okay, we've been used to, for the past 50, 70 years, we've been used to kerosene, so because government has done this, so let us switch over to gas? Yes.
One, we have to do a lot of enlightenment. Nigerians have to be enlightened on the need for them to use that. Then secondly, gas doesn't go alone. Okay? You don't just buy you don't just buy a gas and plug in your house and instead. You also have to look at other accessories that you use it, because you have to get a gas burner, which is also very expensive, depending on what you are going for.
You need a regulator. There's a regulator for the
regulator
and all of that. So all of those.
So everything, when you put on the factor in, it's not just the price of the cooking gas that matters.
But do you think,
the accessories
is it a good incentive to would-be investors? I mean, a lot of people are looking at it like this is a good move because it will encourage investors to actually come in. And then you flood. The more the supply, of course, the cheaper it will naturally get.
It will. Generally, it will encourage those that want to go into, if you have a 20% tax cut on any item, that's enough incentive to make any investor could come in. Okay. It will now fall within the non-essential goods and services. That's the federal government. 20% cut on any item is a very, very huge one. So that is commendable. And that will also encourage even foreign investors to come in. And that in itself also will generate employment for Nigerians. So it's a long value chain, okay, that we are going to get.
And to think that Nigeria actually has about 192 trillion cubic feet of gas.
That's a lot.
As at 2017,
the
9th in the world.
That's what I'm telling you.
When it comes to, I mean, we talk about the energy sector every now and again. We have so much gas, yet we're not able to convert it to power.
Study has shown that we can make more money from gas than petrol, than oil. That is the study. And the federal government, I don't know so much what they are doing to that, because at a point we have agreed that we give certain parameters, also give certain cutoff point for the flaring of gases. Okay, I don't know how that has been implemented to the fullest, because you can still see gas flaring everywhere. Apart from the environmental problem that we have with it, if you go to some of these areas, you walk into a home, especially in rivers. I always use the river states and probably Bias and the rest of it. You walk into a home, and just as you're about to sit down, all you just need to do, just touch the table or chair. You just see that black. You just feel that black suit. That you cannot imagine people living there.
What they are taking
inhaling
every day.
Cancer and all sorts of. So it's an issue that we really need, which also leads us to so many other ones. Look at the cleanup of the Ogoni, the problem we're having in organic cleanup and the rest of that has been stalled. All these are environmental issues. But back to the issue of gas, I believe that if we, as the government have said, decide to implement this to the fullest, so many Nigerians will buy into that. Because it is not only that it will be cheaper for you to be able to get, it is easier, it will be made available. And for the villages, if you go to the village, like a village boy like me.
As if we're not all village
I don't know whether
I'm a village girl.
Are you a village girl? Oh, welcome to the club. And I believe Mike too.
I am a founding member of the club.
If you go to the village, to get a firewood, first and foremost, you either look for the dry woods or you have to cut down.
Trees have to be
felled. Trees have to be felled. And cut into sizes and left to dry. That in itself take a lot of time and the rest of them. And that in itself is and we don't replace as much as we don't. That is the problem we are having.
Speaking of that, whatever happened to the tree planting campaign that we used to have?
I think that has collapsed. That has collapsed.
Fair one tree, plant
another one.
That's about 20, 30 years ago.
You see, so nobody is doing that.
Now, looking at it from the other window, a lot of people would look at this with some kind of pessimistic mind to say that government is reducing or removing tax from this in an election year.
Well, we always that's a very good one.
So it has political
because the point there is, if government is considering the issue of investors coming in, like he was putting it, and making life easier for Nigerians and more penetration, government should have had that even when we were in the when recession was at its peak.
Yes. Well, we always play politics. We always put politics before everything. But at any given point in time, policies, my problem is not only bringing up policies. Implementation has always been our problem.
Exactly.
We have so many
policies. Because there is no date fixed for this yet.
There are so many that at the end of it all, how are we going to implement
this will be implemented remains to
be
seen.
Of course,
we know that the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiku, actually set up an inter-ministerial committee to look at this. Yeah. Hopefully, the logistics will be there to actually go around the country, all 36 states, with public enlightenment and all of that, and to see exactly what is the extent of you know.
Because let me
Yes.
throw back. Maybe some of us have also forgotten. We know we easily forget in this country. That was a policy, I think towards the end of the Goodluck Jonathan administration, I'm not too sure, where was it stove? What billions of naira were?
Yeah.
I think it was stove. You know, where we made budget for buying of stove and distributing to a lot of Nigerians and rest of them. What happened to that project?
Okay.
Very good question.
What happened to that project? Where are those stoves? Because I personally I didn't see any.
They're either in the house of those distributed to, or they're still in the warehouse for those who were not distributed.
That is all.
Or you know what, on the other hand, you know, buying stoves and distributing to the populace is like buying buses to provide transportation for the masses. Instead of a rail system that is more
it was supposed to be a shortcut because of the problem we were having with the forestation that is going on. Look at what is happening in the north presently. Most of the challenges we are having.
Desertification is a real challenge.
Serious challenge, which is why we are having the conflicts. Most of the conflicts we are having, where people have to now migrate from all those areas, and herdsmen are moving away from there. So those are the kind of policies that we rightly said, cut down one tree, plant another 5. If we have been doing that, even within the north, I'm sure by now, over 10 years ago, we would have had a lot of, but as we said, once the policies are made, implementation becomes a problem, it just goes into the archives.
All right, we have to leave it here now. Chris Kehinde-Nwandu, CEO of CKN News, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. My
Thank you.
Thank you.